Okay, so for today's terrific 2-minute tip, we're going to talk about understanding the lifetime value of your equestrian customers. Horse professionals tend to have long relationships with their clients. The horse business is not like selling someone a chocolate bar and never seeing them again. Whether you're teaching lessons, training, boarding, breeding, or selling horses, many client relationships will last years, some even decades or generations. Because of this, the lifetime value of a customer in your horse business may surprise you, and hopefully it will inspire you to develop a long-term vision for both your business and the clients who make your business possible. Let's compare 3 very similar hunter-jumper barns who have 3 very different graphs of lifetime value. Barn A knows the importance of lifetime value and has studied their clients, knows their profit margins, and has a well-developed system in place to progress their clients' riding careers and their own business. They know that the typical client in their business starts out taking lessons. They encourage their clients to take 2 lessons per week because they know that's what works best in the long run. Their clients take lessons 12 months out of the year, and an average client perhaps takes lessons for 2 years. Then the client generally buys a horse through the barn, and so the barn makes a commission. Let's say it's a $30,000 horse, and since we don't have yearly here, we're just going to plug in these numbers so we get the correct number here. So they made 10% commission on a $30,000 horse, and let's say, just for the sake of this, that just happens one time during the client's relationship with the stable. And let's say that then they put the horse in training, and the barn charges $625 a month for training. The horse stays in training 12 months out of the year, and stays in training for 5 years. The stable also does boarding, for which they charge $650. And these numbers, I mean, every area of the country has slightly different numbers, and depending on if you're in a close to a city or way out in the country, these numbers are going to be different for people. So these would of course be your own numbers here. 12 months out of the year, again 5 years, and they go to horse shows. So they have horse show fees, and let's say that they do quite a good job taking their clients to the horse shows, and so horse shows are a pretty major part of their business, and so the typical client pays them $500 a month in horse show fees. And this happens not every month of the year. Their show season is about 9 months long. But it does happen during the entire time they own the horse. And let's say that they also have another service. They have their own truck and trailer, and they ship horses to the shows. And that typical out-of-town show, the shipping's about $400, and they typically take the horses out of town 6 months out of the year. And again, this happens. So now we have the amount of total checks the customer has written to you during the time of doing business with you. Now we're going to go through and figure out what part of it you get to keep. So let's say your profit margin on lessons is 20%. Let's say on your commission you have a really high profit margin because you don't have any expenses attached to it. Training, maybe it's lower, maybe it's say 35%. Board is probably quite low at 5%. Horse show fees, let's say that, again, not too many expenses attached to it. This would be like your training fees per day, or your show fees not including braiding and grooming, that type of thing. So let's say, you're keeping 70% of that, just maybe paying an assistant or something. And then on your hauling, let's say that you have a trailer payment, maybe your truck's paid for, you have a trailer payment and some insurance and gas, and so you have a pretty good profit margin on that too. So your customer is worth $40,000, $40,245 over the course of doing business with you if they stay with you for 5 years. Well, actually it's 7 because they've started out with 2 years of lessons and then stayed with you another 5. Now, so when the owner of Barn A gets a call for riding lessons, she returns it right away because she views the lifetime value of the potential customer rather than the initial value. Because remember, this client started out just being worth about $2,000 over their lifetime, but because they have a good plan for moving their clients through the business and meeting their clients' needs and goals, that client turned into a $40,000 asset. Now, let's say it's barn B, who doesn't know or understand lifetime value. And even though they have a decent plan for their clients and their business, they tend to think short term, and their business kind of reflects this. So let's say when it comes to buying their client a horse, or buying a horse for their client, they're not thinking about the long term here. They are just thinking about that commission and kind of just wanting to get it done. So they don't buy the right horse for their client. And let's say that because of that, their client's horse doesn't do well at the horse shows, so they stop attending shows. And let's say that after that, because they're not going to the horse shows, they don't need to take them in the horse trailer. So as you can see, they just lost 50% of that client's lifetime value because they weren't a long-term thinker. Okay, so let's put this back, and then we're going to take a look at barn C. So this was 5 years, and this was 5 years. So let's take a look at barn C. Now, barn C doesn't have a really focused plan for their clients. They just kind of want everybody to be happy. They let their clients pick and choose. They don't have a vision. And because their clients they don't set goals with their clients aren't really sure where they're going. There's not a lot of direction or focus. So their clients don't take 2 lessons per week. Their clients tend to take 1 lesson a week. Because they're only taking 1 lesson a week, they don't tend to progress very quickly. So instead of taking lessons for 2 years, they take lessons for 4 years. And then they don't buy a horse through the trainer. They go out and they find their own horse. And instead of being in training for 5 years, because they've spent 2 more years in lessons, they go in training for, let's say, just 3 years. And they board for 3 years. And because there's not really any goals or any direction, they don't go to horse shows. And we can see what happened there. So we've got, this barn now is making 1/4 lifetime value of what barn A was. Alright, so I don't know, I hope that gives you guys an idea of why it's important to figure out lifetime value, and to understand the importance of having a shared vision between where your barn is going and where your clients want to go.